good evening. Hope you're all well. I'm going to start a few minutes early because I have a hard stop at 6:30 tonight. And I'm not going to end up in the family court, just joking, of course. But we have got heaps to review. There is absolute heaps coming at the moment. So let's get into it. Thank you so much for those who've joined us. Hopefully those people who are going to join us will pop in very shortly. But yeah, we have got a very dynamic, potentially nasty evening and early morning, pretty day tomorrow of weather. If everything comes off the way the models are sort of running with it, but they haven't come off yet. So fingers crossed we might actually see everything go together. But anyway, let's get into it. I'm just going to move the microphone closer for you so there's no audio issues. All right, we've got absolutely, as I said, we've got bucket loads to get onto. So let's go. And that is actually not the screen I'm on. And here we go again. Let's have a quick look at what we're going on with radar. Let's actually get the right screen. That might be helpful. I'll just add that right now. Don't know why it's doing this, but as I said, we've got so much happening, and we're going to have to review potentially tornadoes tonight coming through from the west with a very aggressive line of storms coming through. It's just everything is happening. We've got this potential low, and anybody on the coast at the moment will know that this low, I know the radar is frozen, it's about to be fixed. This low coming through right now, this potential low on the coast, you will know that the winds have kicked up massively in the last probably an hour or 2 hours, and you should see that now. Beautiful. Let's go. And that is definitely indication that things are starting to ramp up. The system is starting to get organized. We have got buckets load going on. Sorry, I'm trying to get things scurrying around in the side at the same time. All right, so let's go. This is the radar set pick. We'll start with it first because obviously it's telling the story. You can see multiple waves of instability pushing across us. There's actually gravity waves or even pretty small troughs associated with that deep, cold upper low in central New South Wales at the moment, central southern New South Wales at the moment. You can see it's basically right on that New South Wales logo on windy right there. Responsible for a whole range of severe storms, including tornadic storms and supercells. There's been one supercell go to the north of us this afternoon through Hunter, and hope that people that are safe in that area there, and flew throughout to sea. Potential tornado east of Laguna with that cell. Absolutely, you looked on Doppler radar. There was definitely a couplet there, which is a sign on radar that shows that the winds are wrapping into each other and getting sucked up very quickly, or the updraft of the storm is actually extending towards the ground, which is what the tornado officially is. So there's that there, and then of course we've got the evidence and the Bureau warning about tornadoes near Young this afternoon, and that line to our west has severe storms written all across it already. There's already a warning out, and I'll show you in a second. And obviously there'll be potential for tornadoes to go with that as well, and the reason is because of the winds upstairs, or the shear. The profile this year is extremely strong at the moment. It is extremely conducive to rapid moving, strong, severe storms. One of the reasons why we've sort of missed out on a lot of the storms today, though we've had 4 or 5, but they've sort of been fairly benign, is really because we're again in that sort of squishy zone between the stuff wrapping in from the north. There's a bit more warmth and heating. We've been sort of under cloud cover all day long, and we're a bit closer to that sort of mass to the south. It's a bit more rain. Now the southeast is starting to pump in. I think the probability for us for severe storms increases quite significantly. And then, of course, we've got a potential developing low pressure system on our doorstep, and we'll check out the latest modelling for that very shortly as well. I had a quick glimpse of one of them as I was just loading it up for you before. It does look like it's a bit further closer to us than it was originally on a few models anyway. So we'll get to see. EC has not out yet, so that's the last one we'll have to wait on. So hopefully it will be out shortly as we're yappering away here. But yeah, and quickly look at the features. So you can see what I was talking about with these waves here. You can see definitely in the line, they're gravity waves, small troughs you want. They're actually, gravity waves of pressure with cold air upstairs that are thrown off this low, and it throws it out towards the east. Of course, aided and abetted by incredibly strong jet stream winds up ahead, which is one of the precursors to this rapid cyclogenesis or bombgenesis, or whatever you want to call it, which is where a low pressure system rapidly deepens and develops within a period of 24 hours. And this one will be within a period of 12 hours probably, and it is going to go nuts. But the thing is that it's not an east coast though, because it's going to scoot off to the east incredibly quickly as well. So there will be a period of severe weather wherever is within 50 k's of the low level circulation system, wherever that or the low wherever it develops, so maybe up to 100 kilometers. And that will then quickly push off to the coast into the Tasman Sea and become like one of those massive Tasman lows, which batters the coast for a couple of days. Unfortunately, that will be the end of the rain for us, but it will not be the end of the wind. We'll see those pretty Thursday, maybe until Friday at this stage, and we'll check the latest models for you. So it is all happening. Potential tornadoes, potential flash flooding, potential East Coast, well, probably more a hybrid low, or just a meso low is the probably correct term, forming within the coast. And then we've got potential for damaging, even destructive winds with the low, and then also with potentially tornadoes as well developing. If they do, if the severe storms actually even get into the basin, it's a bit gluggy down here with so much moisture, but this there is a bit of dry air moving through, which is why it's backed off a little bit at the moment, which is what is good if you're looking for storms, because it actually allows a bit more forcing. And you can see on the satellite picture in the screen there behind you, if I put it, you can see how these lines or the bands of convection have had sort of a bit of a break, and you can see, almost the ground in some of the areas where the clouds actually broken up. And now, as I said, that southeast is really pumping in. It's going to be feeding this line as it comes across the mountain. So normally with these mountains, gets the Blue Mountains and these lines, and they really struggle to get across, obviously. Not today, because there's plenty of fuel and instability ahead of it. And this cold air upstairs is what's driving this as well, this instability. So it's actually going to suck up that air and that moisture and that fuel upstairs and explode. And whether it gets into storms or just going to into heavy rain, we'll see, I guess. But that low is also headed this way, and you'll find what's going to happen now is this deep line you're seeing coming here, which is one is expected with the severe storms, is what's going to kick off the development of this low pressure system, and this sort of nice spinny stuff over here will then relocate to off the coast, and then it'll all link up out on the Tasman Sea, and away it'll go and disturb a few whales on their migration south or north. It's north now, isn't it? Or is it south? I can't even remember. Did they go south for summer, don't they, and north for winter? I'm not sure. Anyway, someone will let me know in the comments about that for sure. All right, so enough yabbering for me. We'll pop into some local stuff now. We'll check out the radar for us locally and a few other things. There's a few warnings and stuff out we need to review. So let's get into that. So as I said, there's a few warnings out now. So that red shaded areas are for severe thunderstorm warning, and we'll check out that warning in detail very shortly. And you can see that basically is the western edge of the Blue Mountains, the Great and the Great Dividing Range. You can see it already covers actually almost to the edge of the Sydney metro area anyway. So bang, it's coming. I don't know why I'm measuring something there. And you can see these bands of pretty strong showers and with embedded storms. There's that supercell I was telling you about before. It has been a pretty hectic day so far all over the place. Some people may maybe not think so here, but it's been pretty hectic here. If you look at some of the figures that's going on, like just down to our southeast in Guatemala Beach there, they've had over 200 millimeters since 9 a.m. There's been a persistent area of storms and rains there. It's sort of swirling around the coast, sort of trapped between the developing southeast flow and this sort of upper northwesterly and mid northwesterly flow associated with the troughs, and it's just basically sat there and pummeled the coast of the Royal National Park. So they've had some pretty significant falls there. There's been some pretty significant falls across the east, actually, for a lot of places. We'll look at those rainfall totals in a minute. So it is absolutely all happening. Aside from that, we've also got a minor flood warning out for the Nepean at Menangle again. It's going to get another sort of refresh with some flood water. So we'll keep an eye on that for the people out there down Camden and obviously Way. And to welcome to the Mayor of Camden, I think he's on tonight, and lawn doctor extraordinaire out Camden Way. So we've arranged a couple of sunny weeks for him to get his lawns doing so he can feel a bit better. Yeah, it's all happening. I've got lots to squeeze in, so please ask questions, but I'll get to them when I get to them. Do not expect I'm going to get to them straight away because I want to get across all this info first, obviously. Alrighty, so we looked at radar. Let's now look at what's happening in terms of rainfall. We'll look at the falls from today. So you can see here, this is what I was talking about. You can see that part down here, well, at 200 mils there, and that purpley, so I'll move that ledge so you can see the legend. It's down the bottom. Woo! Click, one click, two click, all gone. Okay, there we go. You can see it's pretty heavy falls, and this is obviously that persistent sort of convergence area between the developing southeasterlies and that sort of northwesterly, westerly flow associated with the pulsing of the several troughs going over us. And you'll see, I'll show you in the atmospheric pressure in a minute, The evidence of a number of troughs going over us at this stage. It hasn't just been one, it's been a couple. The air pressure's been up and down more than an old man going to the toilet at night time. And shout again to the Mayor of Camden. I'm sure he's used to that. Just jokes, of course, Glenn. And you can see here there's been pretty significant falls already across from 9 till 5, or it is 30 mils in a lot of places, up to 40, 50 mils in some places. Down here in the Shire, up to 60 mils. I know around my place here, it's been almost 60 mils. It's been absolutely hammering down at some stage. Down Campbelltown Way, I know that's Thomas out Cam Way said the creek in front of his place is the first time it's broken its banks today, and it didn't break its banks and all the rest of the sort of events. So that's how much rain has fallen down Campbelltown Way. So I'm sure he's enjoying that and deserves it. He missed out on a few events. And the Mayor of Camden as well said he's got, I think, 30 to 40, maybe even 50, probably 40 mils plus by now as well. So, they've done well. You can see really some substantial falls already. So nice work on the models picking up. A few places, of course, missed out yet. The west, Penrith and out towards Richmond, and so the middle grounds, I expect they'll catch up pretty quickly once this next line comes in. You can see now already that severe warning area, it's the storm warning area, is already encroaching upon us. It's not far away from the actual western part of Greater Sydney, so definitely keep an eye on that for you. But yeah, it's been wet, wet, wet. All right, we're going to look at now latest observations. So let's quickly refresh them, make sure they're up to date. You can see Sydney already has had nearly 34 mils, and it's already exceeded its September rainfall now already. We're only a few days in, 8 days or 10 days in. So it's going to be another above average month. And just a quick stat for you, and I meant to put it on the page, and totally forgot. 1st of January to the 31st of August this year is the second wettest start to a year on record after the great wet of 2022. That has how extraordinary this year has been, and without a major climate driver. So work that out. Incredible. No ENSO stuff, no IOD. It's a late arriver, but this event's definitely influenced by IOD. You can take some credit for this. SAM is definitely been a significant driver in relation to that, but it bounces around. It's not a long-term one. It's a very short-term reactive type driver. So second wettest start on record. That's for Observatory Hill, because other places probably will be just as wet, I would assume. And we've already surpassed our annual rainfall. We're well above that already. I think we're already over 1,400 mils, something like that. 2022 was obviously the highest at the end of August. It was 1,900 millimeters, but we can all pretty well remember why. There was 400 of that in June alone. Second wettest start on record for Sydney. And I just find that extraordinary. And it's just interesting how it's just sort of not been mentioned much when there's no sort of other climate drivers to sort of herald it and trump it off, isn't it? But yeah, extraordinary. And I'm going to actually post that, because that's a fact and a stat that needs to get out there. It's a very interesting one. What I want to do is also show you the pressure. So we can see here, this is the other thing I want to show you too. Look at these wind gusts, all since about 3 o'clock. And they're definitely indicative of a developing low pressure system off the coast somewhere near us. So we got to keep an eye on exactly where these winds are. And the other thing you can do now is start to watch the pressures. Look at that North Head near us, for obviously near Manly, 47 knots, so nearly 90 k's an hour already within the last half hour or an hour. So you can see that it is really starting, some of that upper cold air starting to get over the water, which is now starting to, and the approaching colder air and this troughs are starting now to actually connect with the air of the sea and suck it in. And of course, that's going to feed it and enhance it more, because as I said before, there's plenty of moisture in it, and it's warmer. The Tasman's quite warm. And so it's a game on, and now it's going to be a factor where exactly. So as I said, massive falls before. Campbelltown, 52 mils since 9 a.m. Impressive, amazing for them. It's taken them over their September average, I believe. Again, so another above average month for them. And you can see Sydney Observatory Hill, nearly 34 mils. Terry Hills, 32 mils. No surprises on the coast, doing well. And we should see those western areas catch up pretty quickly. Now, let's have a quick look at the air pressure is what I want to show you. Just the bouncing around today. So we have the normal atmospheric diurnal sort of shift. We can see the pressures are rising overnight, which is quite normal. And then you can see them start to bounce around from there. So the first one was when we had that first rain event coming this morning. You can see it dropped. Only 1 or 2 hectopascals, not significant necessarily, but definitely indicative of those gravity waves, those lines, those small weak sort of troughs pushing off that massive low in Western New South Wales and coming across us and exacerbating or enhancing the rainfall and creating those rainfalls. So you can see the pressure is bouncing around. So you've got this one here. This morning we all woke up to a bit of rain, which was nice. And then we can see it dropped again rapidly. And then you can see it bounce back up again and then bounce back down again. So it's up and down sort of all afternoon. But generally we can see that pressures have fallen now, pretty, 7 to 8 hectopascals throughout the day. And we need to keep an eye on these now because this is going to be obviously indicative of when and where this low pressure system will form. Of course, closer to us, we should see, obviously pressures drop more rapidly, and you'll see those winds pretty turn more southeasterly, just depending, of course, of exactly how the low develops, where it develops. Closer to the coast, you should see more southeasterly, even more southerly. A bit further off, you'll see more southeasterly. So keep an eye on those winds. And of course, if it's further away from us, they'll be more southwesterly or southwesterly. So there's a good indication for you just about plotting whereabouts the low will form. So keep that in mind. You can see the other place to, of course, keep an eye on is Bellambi, because that is one of the places, obviously, in the firing line. We'll check out the models very soon. But you can see they're more east-southeast there, which is interesting. So obviously nothing sort of developing yet. I'm not saying there's low developing yet. So that's a good place to keep an eye on. And of course, the Bureau think that it's not worth having a pressure gauge in Wollongong, one of the major capital cities in New South Wales. So we have no idea what the air pressure is there. We can go to Albion Park and we can check that later. But I mean, it's not as relevant because it's away from the coast. We want to watch air pressures along the coast because that's obviously going to be more sensitive and reactive to where a low is developing. So I just find that absolute gobsmacking that, again, a major population centre has no air pressure. Guess, have a good guess. I think Port Kembla may have some. We can check Port Kembla out, but I'm not sure that does either. So anyway, it is what it is. All right, so we'll go and check out our warnings now, and we'll pop in and we'll see what is going on. There's a whole heap of them. Better just refresh. We've got to make sure up-to-date ones. All right, so let's start with radio. So severe weather warning, not really, because it's on the very sort of southern edge of us, and this is obviously the Bureau sort of giving their indications where they think the low is going to form and then where the greatest impacts that's going to be. So they're following very much sort of access some. EC's coming out right now, so this would be based off their access model. So that's sort of their indication. Doesn't mean that we're not going to see stuff, and I still think that we'll probably get we'll definitely, I think, get a severe weather warning issued for us probably overnight, I think, or even later tonight, depending on when this low forms, because we'll definitely have periods of damaging winds, especially on the coast, once the low does form, because a lot of the models have said that. So, all right, let's have a look at this severe thunderstorm warning. So this is the one approaching us. You can see the band of severe thunderstorms, and it's for damaging winds, large hailstones, and heavy rainfall. Of course, there is the potential for tornadoes because, as I said, the shear profile upstairs is incredibly strong and conducive to storms developing into very strong supercells. And then when you get very strong supercells, obviously the potential for the updrafts to extend down to the ground, which is what a tornado is obviously pretty high, especially the shear profile that is associated with today's air. It is very, very potential, very possible. I can't get my words out. I'm trying to think 3 sentences ahead. You can see here, cold front attached to low pressure is moving eastward through the central part of the state. So, cold front, not really, it's upper cold, but anyway. And likely to produce that sort of stuff over the next few hours. We'll obviously keep an eye. And then you can see here, tornado observed northwest of Young around 3:30 p.m. And of course, northwest of Young is really in that sort of zone, which is heading straight towards us. So if they're capable of producing tornadoes out that way here, then it's good to say that there's still a chance they're capable of producing as they get closer, but it's obviously not meant to alarm you. It's meant to inform you, and obviously we'll keep an eye on it. And if there's any updates or any warnings about that, you will know ASAP. That's probably it. Other ones, of course, we've got the minor flood warning for the Nepean at Menangle, and of course that's just the bridge will go under. Again, I'll make this a bit larger so we can see it. I keep forgetting that I'm on a big monitor. Again. And it's also because there's going to be pretty heavy rainfall wherever this low does form in the back catchments. And of course, it's obviously still wet. We've had, a record start, one of the record starts of the year. So the ground is still pretty soggy, I imagine. So anything that does fall is pretty good. It's going to run off. And Menangle tends to go for a swim a bit more than other places. We've also got a minor flood warning for the Cooks River, and that's because of tides and also storm surge associated with the developing low pressure system. So just bear in mind, if you're going to go around Tempe there, just keep away from that, please. And don't drive through flooded culverts or streets or whatever it is. Please, please, please. Your 1976 Tirana will not handle it. And we do not need to put our fantastic people of the state emergency services in any more danger than they're going to be for the next 12 to 24 hours anyway. It's good to see the Bureau actually finally got a severe storm warning out for that one at near Newcastle. It was a bit late. I said I'd love to hear. Been scanning for any feedback with it because I definitely think there was a tornado in the back near Laguna, and I'm going to try and thanks to James Lusher if he's listening. Shout out for him. He actually sent me the Doppler for it, and I'm going to pull that up and I'll bring that onto the page as soon as I can find that, which won't take me long, and you can see why. I think. Okay, I need to open this. Excuse me. I'll just drag the window across. Can I drag the window across? Yes, I can. Excellent. All right, so this is the that one. This is the Doppler that he sent through before. So the colors are obviously winds, and you can see super high res velocity and that sort of stuff. And you can see here, this area here definitely would have been, that is very tornadic signature, completely evident of a very, very strong supercell storm. And there would have been something in this area here. So if you know anybody in that sort of east of Laguna or west of Bonnells Bay, perhaps around that area, hit them up and ask them if they got any bad winds there or they saw anything, because there would definitely have been something in that area this afternoon. As you can see, I think he's got it from around between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock, so you can give him a time frame. But yeah, very, very suspicious. Very, very suspicious. Good to see. Rightio. Let's get. Oh my god. Yeah, I can't get rid of it. I hate Messenger. I really do. Bye. There we go. All right. So we've got warnings. We've done that. We've covered that. Rightio. Let's quickly check back into our rainfall. You can see here. This is a 3-day rainfall. Hard to see because they're too far away, so we can't really zoom in yet. I've got it up ready to look at it later though. But you can see all those white squares there are all potential severe storms being monitored. And if I was to run our meso detector, which is obviously as I said to the other day, the algorithm that detects potential supercells or areas where potential supercells, which are the storms that produce, the most destructive elements of storms, which is large hail, destructive or damaging winds, obviously torrential rainfall, and potential for tornadoes. That is where you'll find this. Where those red dots will show us where they're going to be. So it may be a bit too far away, but we'll let the data run itself. And then we'll check the other rainfall, and then we'll head into the models and see what they are throwing up for tonight and then into tomorrow. If it's going to do it. The little mice and the hamsters in the background there are running around. Okay, well, we might just leave that and go into the model stuff first and then come back to that, because it's obviously got a lot to think about. It says please wait, and it's examining a lot of updrafts there, so we will give it some time and go and check here. All right, so we'll go for wind gusts like I normally do, because rain we can check out second. We'll definitely do wind gusts first, because that's going to be the primary identifier. And we're going to zoom in, if I get my clicks right, just to our area, because we don't really need to see anything out there at this stage. We'll see that sort of stuff encroach upon very soon anyway, with the way the winds are. You can see how this southeasters are picking up, and you can see here, this is EC from 18Z, so this is not going to be that helpful for us yet. Let me just double check it hasn't updated while I've been waffling on. Well, 24 minutes ago. Okay, well, here we go. Live react together, because I haven't seen this. Okay, so you can see what I said. I already said at the start that was the southeast is picking up was a sign that was a low developing, and EC reflects that. You can see here those wind streams. Now, it's not a low yet, but it definitely is an area of vorticity. And you can see that these pinks are the increasing wind strengths, and you can see this, especially the southern area here, which is where I am at the moment, which has been pretty strong gusts, I must say. Just started, and almost the timing. So nice work, EC. All right, let's have a look into what we've going on now. So you can see here, this is definitely an area where there is a low-level circulation center trying to start. And you can see the trough coming here from the west, which is that band of thunderstorms. You can see a pretty strong surge of that. And where these two collide is obviously where it's going to spin it up and really enhance it. So we'll go on now to about 10 o'clock tonight. And there you go. Look at that. Interesting. Here comes that trough sort of stuff through. Still quite strong winds. Look at that. Starting to turn, and it's basically right almost onto us. Small sort of, this is the trough sort of coming out. You can see here now. You see how it's lining up. So I drag a bit more that way. You can see it. So that's just a vorticity in the trough. You can see the trough is now across the water. You can see that by the way it is. Winds coming from different opposite directions. You can see here feeding into the trough. And so this area of no winds here. And then you can see wrapping into the Sydney coastal area, which is interesting because EC's always had it to the south. But you can see anywhere along the coast here is where you expect this is going to come across and sort of start to bomb into a low level, the low. So we can put it here. And then you can see here now starting to wrap in right on top of the Shire and northern Illawarra, which is probably the case where EC's had it pretty much up and down within 50 Ks or 100 Ks for the last few runs. So here we go. Let's go into tomorrow. And there we go. So it starts to spin up. It's not really a low yet. It's still just it's a vorticity within the trough, but it's definitely starting. You can see how that trough's now moved. That upper trough and the colder air's moved across. You can see in response, look at this. Massive winds just develop from the northwest, will wrap around into it. You can see here 61 knots just off the coast. You can see here those figures you can see are the wind gusts. So there's numbers. You can see the coast of the Shire, anywhere sort of east from Sutherland to Sydney CBD and pretty up to sort of freshwater, I'd say, on the coast there, already starting to get severe winds, which I'm just absolutely shocked why the Bureau has not put out a severe weather warning, at least for these areas. But anyway, they do what they do. And there we go. You can see still a bit of a trough. It's still really not an organised low. It's just more vorticity, but starting to wind up. It's starting to get organised. You can see it's starting to get its own closed circulation. And you can see the trough extending back here to the east. And you can see, look at the inflow of that on the northern side and on the southern side. So the area around here is where it's going to be the greatest. And as I said before, if you watch where the winds are, the direction they're coming from, that'll tell us exactly where the low is going to form. And you can see that sort of southern Sydney's on that sort of southwest, and then quickly wraps around to sort of southwest and west. And that's the key to watch out. But you can see it's not going to stop the winds. You can see a whole slab. I just don't understand. Looking at this now, I mean, that's only a few hours away, and there's no warning about by the Bureau at all. It's all down here, so the Illawarra and south. I don't understand what they're doing. Anyway, I just don't believe this stuff. I really just don't believe this stuff. If me, little old me with a freaking little computer and my own internet connection can see this shit, I don't understand why they don't do it. And you can see these strong winds now pushing well into the Greater Sydney area, like 40 knots way into Western Sydney now, almost to the base of the Blue Mount. I don't understand what the hell they're doing, honestly. Anyway, and this damaging winds now for a whole period tomorrow morning. Again, I'm gobsmacked. Anyway, 46, nearly 50 knots on the coast. I mean, they're almost destructive winds. And the severe winds are the purples. They extend, severe winds extends almost always to Penrith. You can see a slab over Blacktown in Liverpool's area here. You can see that purple is, 40 plus knots, which is the category for severe winds. Yeah. On the coast, 50 knots, destructive winds, damaging winds. Sorry, not destructive winds. I think that's 60 knots or 55 knots, but still, into tomorrow, look at that. I mean, Sydney CBD, 47 knots, nearly 50 knots, and that's nasty. And now pushing way up into the Hunter as well. Thankfully it's not going to last that speed for all day, but you can see persisting with pretty strong winds on the coast for Sydney, and this is on EC through most of Thursday and easing into Thursday evening, which is great as the Tasman low really takes off and POQs and annoys some whales. But again, it'll be interesting to see, because you see here the low actually moves a lot further closer to us tomorrow morning. It moves actually sort of northeast. So the rainfall will be interesting to see, because there's a massive convergence going along. This is flash floods, some pretty wild weather on EC, that is. I'm not going to say it's all versions, but EC. Pretty much till mid-morning tomorrow morning. I just got a video of the tornado from, thanks to Tamara if she's listening, but I'll try and get that on in a minute and I'll show you. Actually, I need to open up Messenger. Oh my God, Messenger. I'll fight with that again. I can get it off. There we go. I can get it off the screen this time. All right. I will try and. Here we go. Hopefully, you guys can see that. Can you see it? Yeah. Doesn't any sound, I don't think. Oh, it sounds. There you go. Look at that. Holy, why is that person doing? Why are they so close? It's so dangerous. Please don't ever do that. You see that? Look, that's really loud. It's blowing your microphone out. Sorry. Hope that's a bit better. Look at that. Wow, just shredded those trees. That is probably definitely an F1 tornado, maybe. Wow. I don't know what that person's doing in the car. Like, this is not an episode of Twister. That's freaking dangerous because that can just change direction and that will actually pick you up and throw you and probably kill you, I'd say, even at that speed. But look at that. You've got debris, you've got things being shredded. Wow. That is Twister. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Sorry, language warning. Yeah. I love it. Wow. Thank you for that, Tamara. That is incredible. Wow. Back to this. Wow. Wow. That is what is coming this way. May not have it, may get it. Who knows? I guess we'll find out. Won't know from the Bureau because it'll be tomorrow before they put the warning out. Yeah, I'm sassy tonight. I'm hungry and I'm tired and I just feel like they let us down with this sort of stuff when I look at models like this, and there's potential, even on GFS tomorrow, there's potential for pretty strong winds, and there is 0 warnings out for anywhere in Sydney. And here's Icon. Let's have a look at that. I'm going to have to quickly run through because I'm going to run out of time, but Icon actually matches pretty much what we just saw in EC. That's a concern now. Pretty much the same scenario. Low developing on the coast. It does back it off a little bit, but you can see those winds start extending across the coast, and pretty strong, nasty stuff, 40, 50 knots, and getting higher, heading towards 60 knots overnight, which is the worst time for these sort of things to peak and with no warning out so people can prepare. Pathetic service. Yeah, don't care, criticize me. I will call them out when it's needed to, and I am calling them out now because this. Wow. 2 models now with Plaque GFS as well. Don't forget GFS is a very low res model of 50 to 60 knots on the coast for Sydney, pushing inland to 40 knots easy. On anything should be a severe weather warning already. Not just waves, for goodness sake. All right, let's go and we'll quickly check access. Yeah, I'm going to be whingy about it. So I should be, because the reason I started this whole page is about people, community, looking after the community, making sure they can make wise decisions on the information that's available. And I just feel absolutely let down by someone that we pay billions of dollars a year. I mean, even on their own damn model, it's severe winds. At least, okay, on theirs it holds off a bit. Look how close that low is. Like, they could be 50 kilometers wrong, this model. I mean, it's already severe there, 40 to 50 knots again on the coast, with a rapidly exploding low pressure system between Wollongong and Sydney bombing, and there's not one warning out. I mean, look at that. 50 to 60 knots just on the coastline. It may not be on their model pushing into the west much, but it is on other models. And not a skerrick from them. Not a brass razoo, not even anything. And I'm gobsmacked. Let's get into let's just get into rain before I just lose my shit, to be honest. This day, and I tell you what really peeves me. Everybody's struggling. The economy is tanking. We know it is. We know people are struggling. People are facing, cost of living pressures, power bills coming through. It's been a cold winter, although they keep telling us how warm it was. It wasn't freaking warm. It was cold. And there's billions of dollars wasted on an organization that prefaces telling us that we're going to die from climate change in 50 years' time, rather than just doing their freaking job, which is actually looking after weather and appropriate warnings and timely warnings to make sure that people in their lives aren't unnecessarily impacted, or they've got time to, make appropriate preparations and stuff like that, far out. You can see access, of course, the main rainfall is down in the Illawarra, which is not surprising given that sort of southeasterly fesh against that escarpment. And you can see not much access in terms of rainfall for us here. Let's have a look at EC. You can see a lot different in EC's picture. You can see a lot of, basically a swathe of heavier rainfall, including across those catchment areas. Really sort of demarcated line here, basically across the half of Sydney. And that's because of that low will suck a lot of the stuff away. But again, we'll see what happens. It does actually have it coming in northeast a bit on one of the, I think it was it EC or was it Icon, one of the ones anyway. But still some pretty significant falls adding into what's happened already today. Let's have a look at GFS, get far away soon. Yeah, GFS is the outlier of all the models. It was off in Fairlands. And you can see Icon is pretty much sort of mirroring what we saw with EC as well. A bit more of a concentrated burst around the Illawarra region, which is not, again, not unsurprising given that southeasterly flow pumping up against that escarpment. And we'll quickly look at Axis C, see what it's doing. It's probably not going to have a lot because, okay, it's got nothing. Probably Axis C's had some conniptions and it's died. Yeah, Axis C has not updated at all. It's dead in the water. And there's Axis, that's Axis C from Canberra, which is grabbing the side of us, but again, not enough to really give us any sort of decent resolution. So it's going to be definitely an interesting 12 hours. We can see it rapidly, it sort of clears tomorrow, but there'll still be some coastal stuff left over. Again, it only takes a 10, 15, 20K difference in the models being wrong, and these figures here are all up across us. So don't get too focused on the numbers. Now we go into nowcasting. Models give us an idea what's going to look ahead, but you're nowcasting. We have to look at all the things like radar and atmospheric pressure, obviously the winds, where they're going from, the strength, all that sort of stuff. But we'll do our best to try and keep you obviously updated. You can see now that line's actually starting to get onto the Great Dividing Range into the Western Blue Mountains. And push up over, you can see there's quite a lot of very concentrated cells. They're all individual storm cells, those dark areas there. Fairly lightning active, and heading this way. We'll look at what the, let's have a look at the forecast radar says. You can see pushing in, says we're to start to see it in the west by about probably 7:15, 7:30. And then that's obviously when the risk starts to rise. All as you can see, there's plenty of fuel ahead of it. And we'll see, I guess, where from there we go in terms of just whether we get severe storms or we just get pretty heavy torrential rain where the low forms. If it does form, of course, there's never a guarantee with these systems. But it is all happening, as Bill Laurie once famously says, and talks to his pigeons quite about. It's still waiting, this poor thing. I think it's just overwhelmed. There is so much data coming in. I'm just going to try and refresh it. Let's see. Oh, look at that lightning really firing up now. That's a good sign of intensification. And that is heading straight towards us. You can see each of those white lines with those squares are severe storms and headed straight at the Sydney Basin. Now, not necessarily guaranteed they're going to make it, but there is, and with this triangle, the triangle equals also hail has been observed on radar, or potential hail. So again, we'll see how it gets over. We'll just quickly run that, see if it's going to work this time. Give it a minute or two. Otherwise, I am going to have to absolutely fly. While that does that, I'll quickly look at the comments because I'm going to run out of time again. Naughty me. Hello, everybody. Rachel, Ratso, Mr. Sharp, Nathan. Hello there. Oscar, Tom, Mr. Dine. Lovely to see you. I mentioned you before. Mr. Randazzo, love you there. See you as well. Pixel Dream, lovely to see you too. Welcome. I haven't seen you before. When I'm watching this, I'm in Melbourne. Well, great. Lovely to have you from Melbourne. You can get jealous. EJ, lovely to see you too. Tracy, lovely from Lower Portland. Sorry to hear that you've got a blackout. That is not good. Hopefully you guys are all up there and it's fixed by now anyway. Hello, Deborah. Lovely to see you again. And Maeve, lovely to see you and welcome. I haven't seen you before. All tomorrow morning, aim for the T4 line at 7 a.m. or what the work from home. I would be working from home, Maeve. I just think even with a bit of wind around you, how like Sydney trains doesn't cope with winds. How do you feel that Central Coast gets more lightning and thunder than Sydney? Do you think that happens? No, it depends. Depends the setup. Oscar, it really depends on the setup. Can do, and then sometimes it misses out quite a lot where we get stuff. Just really again, as I said, really depends. Max, good evening from Mr. Wentworthville. Hello, Pos. Lovely to see you. It is a bit moist. We need that moist column. EJ, we've got love you, EJ. Hope you're all good there in Central Coast. Bob's your uncle. Lovely to see you too. Tornado in Kilcare Heights. Oh, Bob, and don't worry, Oscar. He's just joshing. He's just winding you up. And Rachel, wind's picking up. It has been very windy actually on the coast here, which is a good sign that things are developing. And get some questions. Ben Godwin, lovely to see you. In Grenfell, New South Wales. Where's Grenfell, Ben? You'll have to tell me sometimes. I don't know. Is that like Hunter or is that Sydney? Not sure. But Grenfell, if someone can let me know what Grenfell is quickly, I can answer his question. Igor, I go camping. I always say Igor camping because I always say I go to Igor. Lovely to see you, the Mayor of Freshwater. I hope you're well up your way. And looking after yourself. Grenfell, as well, is getting tornado warning every couple minutes now. Yeah, if you're down near that sort of area, young sort of stuff, we should be cleared from you pretty quickly, so it'll be gone by now, I'd say. But it was pretty hectic down your way, as we just saw in the video. It was pretty impressive. 99 Houston at the airport. Oh yeah, that was interesting. Or 47, yeah, that's Joshua's favourite subject, 1947. He messages me quite frequently about. We discuss about it quite frequently. He does all the great research and digs up all these old articles, which I do love to read. All right, we go. Bureau of Manure, yeah. Moosey Mandaza, lovely to see you, Moosey Mandaza. Not sure, but yeah, it's a marine wind warning though, but that doesn't help us for coastal areas. Ben, Oscars, can you explain what's happening above Kilco Heights and we'll get more lightning and thunder? It's the same as us, so if you hear me saying anything about Sydney, Oscar, then you can just take it in for the same thing for Kilcare Heights because it's basically on the same atmosphere at the moment. So anything I say about Sydney is the same for you. Yeah, sensible. Agree, Mr. Matt, Mr. M. I wouldn't be taking anything that happens over the BMs there, Thomas, because radar for a start doesn't pick it up very well, and go between Cherry Hills and I think what's the one up that way, Mr. M? The radar is it Yarthol? I think is it radar, and starts going between both of those, so it does lose a bit of resolution. So I wouldn't be necessarily worrying too much what the radars are saying. That wait till it gets over the other edge and gets into proper Cherry Hills beam, and then we'll know a better idea what's going on. Good for lightning though, so it gives us an idea about what's sort of happening with winds and that sort of stuff. Rachel, Grenfell's north of Cootamundra. Okay, thank you for Rachel. Yes, you had it pretty hectic out there today, Grenfell. It was very hectic. You had tornadoes all around you today, no doubt. So hope you're safe though. Maybe. Still young, still getting them. Yep. There's about to go a pretty deep low, go right at the top of you, Ben. I would suggest though that probably the chance of tornadoes is pretty decreasing pretty significantly. You still get some severe storms, but most of the stuff is ahead of that now. Is where the two air masses are wrapping into each other. The air mass from the sea that's been sucked into it, and then of course the low is ramming into it. That's where most of the focus will be for the next few hours. Maeve and Max having a reunion in the chat. Lovely. Great. Small world after all. It is a small world. Tricks are paying off. Love it. You're always welcome to come, Maeve. I love a person with a sense of humor. So please join us anytime. Definitely love a sense of humor. More lightning in the morning, Oscar. depends really upon what this trough does. Probably not. Once that low wraps up, if anything, if there's any storms, they'll be embedded. So the lightning will be pretty hard to see. It'll just be more like you'll hear rumbling. But again, we'll see. Yale Vale. Thank you, Rachel. Yeah. Twin Yale Vale and Terry Hills as radars, by the way, going back. Thank you for clarifying that. I never remember that name. Positive. Can you explain the 3D radar, what I'm looking at? Okay, so this is basically just the red dots are potential supercells, which are the strongest sort of storms. You're seeing the lines are obviously identified severe storms. The shading is obviously radar, and it's just a higher res. And then on the right-hand side is basically a cross-section of that radar, so you can see how high they go. And the reason it's so miniature is because I've had to have the radar zoomed out to actually see the stuff coming on the Blue Mountains. But I can zoom in now, you'll see the detail on the right-hand side is basically a cross-section. So if I took a cake slicer and went from Terry Hills, which is where that is, following that white line, slicing straight through the atmosphere there, this is the atmosphere over here. So if I put that atmosphere, for example, go up there where that putty one is and leave it, that looks up through the storm. So that's Terry Hills there, looking to the northwest. That's that storm there. And you can see that's the sort of anvil there, you can probably see, which is the cloud pushing along. And you can see there's cause of the storm here, the rain. And there's purple in there, which I think there's a bit of purple there, but too far away to see. That indicates where hail is. So that's basically what you're seeing on that. I should probably go back to the other one. That's a good flag for that. I really freaking need to stop talking and start running very soon. I am going to be so in the family court soon. I'm just joking, of course. They have no issue with me being a little bit late at all, but I don't like to be late because they've worked very hard today, and I don't like them sitting outside waiting in the rain and at Hurstville, a bit dodgy. Shout out to all the Hurstville people. Lovely to have you on the chat here tonight. This is 3 hours ago. Let's go back to 1 hour now. Bring it down for chatting. Have it going in the background. Answer some more questions. I'm going to check some of these winds. Yeah. You can see these winds really starting to pick up. And you can see here there's two layers. You can see this some blue, and then underneath it there's this orangey sort of stuff as well. So don't forget, blue is towards radar and yellow and reds are away from radar. Is definitely a trough moving off the shore, off the coast here. And now we just wait and see where it spins up. And you can see all these different colors amongst here. They're incredibly strong winds. When you get like these orange and blues amongst that, the oranges and reds amongst that blue, they're incredibly strong winds. Oh, I think that severe thunderstorm warning just updated. So we'll quickly check that for you, because that is definitely what had just happened, because I saw that layer in the background refresh. Let's have a look. Have they updated that? Of course not. Of course not. That would be wishful thinking. Let's go here. Updated that. No, I don't know why that layer updated, unless it's the back end is updated before the web interface, which is sometimes does happen. We've been on streams before where we see that updated and that other one hasn't updated straight away. But there's nothing on there that's indicative for us. Of course, there is a marine wind warning, but that's for the fishes and the whales, not for us. All right, back to rain. All right, get back to your questions. Mr. Preston, hello, lovely to see you too. Let's go. What are the planes? Oh my. Oh, Maeve, you sound like a sort of person I would get on very well with. You have much sense of humor. Please come and join our streams anytime you like. They go south in summer. Thank you for that, Oscar. I was trying to get which way it was. So south for summer, north for winter. Yeah. Okay, so they're heading south. And they're getting pummeled by some severe weather, poor things. And the tankers and obviously the various obstacles they have to migrate around, and the great white sharks are hanging around apparently, having a chat. Apparently there's a whale's carcass off the shore at the moment too, which is one of the reasons why there's been some sharks hanging around, which led to that incident off DY the other day, poor bugger, and obviously commiserations to his family out there. Regardless, it's not time for blame for anybody. It's just a time to honour or respect them and obviously what they're going through. And I'm sure as a surfer, he knew the risks. And if you do die doing something that you absolutely love and enjoy, then what a better way to go than something that eats you away like cancer, all that sort of stuff. Let's go. Rid of warm, but no. Okay. Plane, train, weather nerds activate. You pause. You're welcome, and please ask anytime. All right. Thank you, Maeve. Lovely having you too, and hopefully catch you again soon. It's been great to have you and a little reunion happening there in the chat. Always good to see those sort of things. All right, I do have to unfortunately go. I'm so sorry, but I have commitments, as you know. But I'll definitely keep you updated. And if it does look like it's getting savage, I will be back online. I'll get back online and do a live, and we'll walk you all through it, and we'll can all bear the joy together. This still stuff is still quite a bit of time away, so there's not going to happen in the next 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. It's moving fairly murdering along though, but it's in the issue we've got now is if it skips, so it gets over the Blue Mountains and then it sort of pushes ahead and then hits the valley. But you can see there's already a slab of stuff starting to push into Penrith and Richmond now, making up for that rain they missed earlier. And guess we'll keep an eye on that. But as we saw, about 7:30 is pretty sort of game time where we start to see these stronger cells start to push off the Blue Mountains. And of course, if there's any warnings issued, I will keep you updated. But thank you again for your company. Everybody take care, please. Just prepare for pretty nasty winds tomorrow. I know there's no warnings out from the Bureau. I can't explain why. But we saw the models together. We all looked at them. We saw how there was some chance of even severe winds right into Penrith, up to 40 knots, which is the severe category the Bureau starts at. So just prepare, and I do pity all those poor buggers who've got school drop-offs and everything tomorrow. If you've got public transport in the morning, just prepare for it to be impacted. So get your app open, check, make allowances, and perhaps work from home. In fact, I would, if you can, work from home tomorrow anyway, because it's going to be pretty hectic in terms of wind, weather, rain, all this is going to be happening. And then it'll quickly withdraw from the west and sort of hang around the coast for a little while, but we should see pretty much clearing out by afternoon or evening. And then we'll head into the weekend, not long after that, no doubt. Anyway, again, it's been a pleasure to have you all. And it's Sean's best time of night, which I'm sure he joined us just in time for. But unfortunately, it is that time for me to say good evening, because I do have to run. I'll leave you with the dulcet tones of the whatever it is in B flat. I'm not sure it's B flat, but I'm just going to make that up. Look after each other, stay kind, and again, keep your eye on notifs. And it does get hectic, I will get back on, absolutely, pretty from around 7:30, I'd say, anyway. So just keep an eye on notifs. I'll make sure that if you actually turn your notifications on for YouTube, you get notified quicker anyway. All right, ciao, everybody. Have a good evening. Fingers crossed we get something decent. Ciao.